Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this first in a series of webinars about connecting humanity, exploring humanity through literature. My name's Jim Robinson. I'm one of the consultants with Pearson Sanoma, and I'm delighted to be able to host this specific webinar. The first announcement I have to make is that, unfortunately, for a last-minute hitch, Mauro Spicci is not able to join us. He's fine, and he sends his best wishes. Therefore, Tim Shaw is going to be doing all of the heavy lifting and the spade work and everything.
Thank you.
I'm going to be here in the background to help out with any questions that you might have in the chat and any other questions that you might have. Before I hand over to Tim, then you can see that the title, Stories of Migration, Identity and Otherness. So a fascinating topic, which could even refer, I think, to both you and me, Tim, if we think
I
about
think so, yes.
the migration. But we're not going to talk about ourselves here.
No.
You never know, we may do. As you know, everybody out there, Tim is co-author with Mauro Spicci of our best-selling literature course, Amazing Minds, New Generation. They also co-authored a publication, a wonderful publication for civic education and culture called Your World. And hot off the press, there is, as you can see from the slide here, a wonderful new literature course called Lifelines and Be Human. We will be referring to this during the course of the webinar because of the wonderful connections that Lifelines has with humanity and literature. So I'm just going to ask you in the chat, just to make it go really mad in the chat, if you just want to type in the city that you, or the town that you are following us from, just to get an idea if we are covering all parts of the country. They're flashing through now: Florence, Pordenone, Bolzano, La Spezia, Monza. Hi, everybody. Napoli, Ferrara, Cremona, Alessandria, Milan, San Benedetto del Tronto. It's going too quickly. We can all be migrating across the country with the different cities. Cosenza, I saw there as well. So
Vercelli, yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I'm going to hand over now to Tim. And here we go, Tim, with Stories of Migration, Identity and Otherness.
Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Webinars are rather strange things because you maybe can see me, but I can only see your names in the chat. But it's nice to see so many people from so many parts of Italy. The nearest to me, I think, is Monza, because I'm in the province of Monza and Brianza. As Jim says, sadly, you have to listen to me alone today. Mauro couldn't be with us, but he sends his best wishes. Let's make a start, because we have a lot of things to get through today, and I hope we're in time. So we're talking about celebrating the power of literature to keep us, or to make us and keep us human. Now, literature has always been a lifeline. This is the title of our new text. A thread connecting the past and the present, connecting individuals and cultures, personal experiences and collective histories. Literature allows us to navigate complexity, to see ourselves reflected in the words of others, and to understand that across time and space, we all share common questions, fears, and hopes. So today, in an era marked by unprecedented migration, cultural encounters, and identity shifts, literature remains a powerful compass to explore who we are and how we relate to others. Literature invites us to step into different perspectives, to question our assumptions, and to embrace the richness of diversity. Let me move on. This, I should have said that before, yes. Okay. So this webinar, as Jim suggested, marks the official launch of the book you can see on the screen, Lifelines, Be Human. This is a new literature and language textbook designed for today's world. A world that demands critical thinking, empathy, and the ability to engage with complexity. More than just a collection of texts, Lifelines is an invitation to reflect on human experience through literature, to connect with voices across time and cultures, and to develop the skills needed to understand and shape the future. The journey, which is both a literary journey and the journey of humanity, is marked by what we call key topics. Key topics in our text, Lifelines, Be Human, you can see them on the screen, are universal themes. So we talk about love, migration, well-being, equality, otherness, themes that connect literature across time and cultures, encouraging us as teachers and our students to explore fundamental human experiences through texts, discussions, and personal reflections. You can see the 8 chapters, and you can see how these key topics are distributed. Now, today we are going to focus on 3 key topics that you can see here: mobility, identity, and otherness. Mobility, movement of people and cultures across borders. Identity, the evolving nature of self-perception and sense of belonging. And otherness, literature helps us to understand those who are different from ourselves. We hope that this will provide what we call the future-proof curriculum. In our book, each chapter follows a very clear, accessible structure, organized with 2-page spreads designed for use in 1 or 2 class sections. It integrates literature and language learning and has a special focus on accessibility and inclusivity. With a rich collection of multimedia elements, including videos, conceptual maps, historical insights. We hope that through this, we can help students develop empathy, broaden their worldview, and see their own experiences mirrored in the lives of others. Let's move on one more step. Here we go. Oh, yes. So the first one we are talking about is mobility. Mobility has always shaped human history and literature, from ancient times to the present. And we are interested in understanding migration as a global phenomenon, analyzing how migration affects identity and our sense of belonging. And we're going to explore migration in literature, moving from way back, from Beowulf to modern poetry. We'll see some examples of modern poetry today. There we are. The key topic, always on the move. Here we introduce students to the idea that migration and movement have been fundamental aspects of human existence since the beginning of time. And this first part of the unit that you can see takes a contemporary factual approach, using data and real-world information to highlight how migration shapes both individuals and societies. The unit, as you can see, begins with an informational text that presents statistics and key facts about migration worldwide. The passage is drawn from United Nations reports and explains the various reasons why people move. Why do people move? They move for economic opportunities and for education, but also, sadly, as we know today, they move because of war, because of persecution, because of the problems of climate change. You see on the screen a reading comprehension exercise structured in the style of a Cambridge First Certificate exam, which invites students to complete the gaps with appropriate words. This task not only reinforces linguistic accuracy, but also encourages students to engage with real-world data, helping them to understand the scale and the impact of migration in the world today. the fact that we combine language and information in this shouldn't frighten us. The exercise, the first certificate exercise, does not sort of impinge on the content, but it is very much, it's not too difficult in simple words. Okay. We move on again to talk about Beowulf. So from this first real world perspective, looking at migration today, we then take a step into the realm of literature, where migration, travel, and exploration have always been dominant themes. And Beowulf is one of the earliest examples we have of a traveler who willingly leaves his homeland to explore unknown territories, to face dangers, and ultimately to find his identity. Unlike modern migration, his journey is driven not by necessity, but by the pursuit of honor, adventure, and legacy. So this transition from contemporary migration issues, the United Nations text, to epic literature, helps students to reflect on the different motivations for movement, some born out of necessity, others out of ambition or curiosity. It also opens the discussion to broader literary themes. So what are we asking? Here we say, how do travelers change as they move through new environments? Does leaving always mean losing something? Or can it mean gaining a new perspective? And how do ancient and modern texts portray the emotional aspects of migration? So this dual approach, balancing factual knowledge with literary exploration, allows students to see migration both as a human reality and as a timeless literary theme, encouraging cross-textual connections between data, historical literature, and personal reflection. Let me move on one more step.
Tim, if I can just come in there, I think there's a really nice question that you had at the bottom of the page there for the students about what does traveling mean to you?
Yes.
And mean for you. So this the ability to then take something from a literary context and then apply it directly to all of the kids in front of me in a classroom. So to hear their perceptions of what traveling is for them.
I think so, yes. Yes, thank you for that, Jim. Yeah. Okay, let's go on again. So, be human. Be human is the subtitle of this text, and we are very interested in moving backwards and forwards between literature and the sort of human, even emotional impact on the students themselves. So we move into a personal emotional space. We're going to try to humanize migration and shift the focus from facts and statistics to individual voices and personal experiences. In the section here, we have a poem called I Am the One Who Goes Away, written by Sujata Bhatt. Sujata Bhatt is an Indian-born poet. She's lived in different countries, and she gives us a deeply introspective perspective on migration in the poem we see here. She's not like Beowulf. Beowulf leaves home in search of adventure. Bhatt's experience is more reflective. She explores the idea that leaving does not mean losing, because home is something we carry within us. Let's have a look at her poem. She writes, I am the one who always goes away. Sometimes I'm asked if I was searching for a place that I can keep my soul from wandering, a place where I can stay without wanting to leave. Who knows? Maybe the joy lies in always being able to leave, but I never left home. I carried it away with me, here in my darkness, in myself. If I go back, retrace my steps, I will not find that first home anywhere outside in that motherland place. We weren't allowed to take much, but I managed to hide my home behind my heart. There's very beautiful lines. Maybe the joy lies in always being able to leave, but I never left home. So the poem challenges the idea that migration is always a form of exile. Instead, it suggests that we can be rooted and mobile at the same time. So we ask our students to reflect on this. What does home mean? What is home? Is it the place? The feeling? The memory? And is leaving a loss? Is it a freedom? Or is it both? Can we belong to multiple places at once? I have my own answer to this because I migrated, and Jim is like me. We are migrants, but maybe we'll pause for a moment and ask you, what is home for you? What is your feeling about home? And can you belong to more than one home? Jim, how do you feel? Who are you?
It's the question that I fear the most when I meet somebody for the first time, because they say, "Where are you from?"
Yes.
It's so, I say Plymouth, but I've lived in Italy longer than I've lived in the UK.
Yes.
It's this kind of identification, as you say. So,
Yes.
just where my mother happened to be on the planet when I was born doesn't necessarily mean that's who I am and where I'm from.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
a very interesting question, which we, through our personal stories, have made more interesting, Tim, by actually
Yes. Yes.
migrating. But yeah,
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
let's see if we've got anyone that wants to add in the chat
Yes.
some
Yes. Does
thoughts on
anyone
this.
like to make a comment on this?
It's quite a big thing to be able to sort of type into a chat, really, in just a few words. So I'm not sure
Yes.
how we're gonna.
Yeah. Home is
Oh,
Australia and
hi,
Italy.
Leah. Yeah,
Yes.
home is
Yeah.
Australia and Italy, indeed. Yeah.
Yes. That's a long way away. Yes. Lovely poem. I agree with you. It is, isn't it? Yes. That's Francesca.
I'm sure there's plenty of migration from different parts of Italy as well with the
Yes.
teachers
Oh, yes.
online.
Yeah.
So we'll have.
Yeah. Home is where your heart is. I like that very much. Yes.
Mm.
Where I feel appreciated and part of a community. Hmm.
Everywhere my memories find a place. That's nice.
Yes. We're actually creating little pieces of poetry in the chat
Yeah.
here. These are very sweet. It's very nice. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. We'll move along again. I'm glad that we enjoyed this poem. I think it is very beautiful, very simple, but with a very important message. Okay, so we discussed these questions with our students. Do you think leaving home is difficult or liberating? Have you ever felt the same desire to wander, to escape, or to redefine yourself? That may be more typical of our students of the age to have this spirit of adventure. How does Beowulf's journey compare to Bat's perspective on migration? Different motivations, different feelings about it. Okay, now, where have we got to now? Let's move on again from there and look at the structure of this part. So the structure of the units, this unit we're just looking at, mirrors the way we experience movement and identity in real life. First, we understand mobility as a global reality. And you see, we've looked at data, we've looked at history and trends shaping our perspective. Then we explore how literature has always captured this movement, going from the ancient epics like Beowulf to Bat's poem. And finally, we turn inward, reflecting on our own ideas of belonging, movement, and identity. And by weaving together factual knowledge, classic and modern literature, and personal engagement, Lifelines, Be Human transforms migration from an abstract topic into a deeply human conversation, one which I think is essential in our interconnected world of today. Mobility, identity. Who are we? What shapes our identity? This is a very big question, and I won't even attempt to give an answer to this myself. But what we understand is that identity is not something which is fixed. Identity is dynamic, evolving force. It's something which shapes our experiences and is shaped by our experiences, our relationships, and our decisions. In Lifelines Be Human, we explore identity through literature, through personal reflection, and through discussion. I can move on. Yes. Okay, so the question that we face as we open this section, identity, what shapes our identity? As we see, there are unique traits which distinguish us from others. They're influenced by our family, our culture, our education, our beliefs, and our experiences. But our identity changes over time. We said especially in adolescence, and probably also in adulthood. And negative experiences sadly can have, like childhood trauma, can have a lasting impact on our idea of self. We start off here with another serious text. We have a reading comprehension text. This one is structured as an IELTS reading comprehension. I'm sure you are familiar with this style, the true, false, not given. An exercise which develops reading comprehension, but also critical thinking skills. The content also reinforces the idea that identity is complex and ever-changing. And this is not incredibly difficult, but the IELTS format does add this little level of difficulty. My own experience with this is the not given option is always the most difficult to pin down. We'll move on again from that. Okay. Beyond the contemporary analysis of identity, literature has always grappled with this fundamental human question: who am I? How much of my identity is shaped by my surroundings? How much is uniquely my own? Many literary characters struggle with identity formation and self-discovery and belonging. So we have people like Hamlet, who's questioning his purpose, and poor Frankenstein's creature searching for acceptance. Literature then offers a mirror to our own struggles with identity and transformation. So we ask, how do fictional characters define themselves? And what happens when society's perception of them differs from their own self-image? We discussed this in class and encourage students to draw connections between personal experience and literary themes. So, how do fictional characters define themselves? How do literature and real life experiences overlap? Because this literary exploration will invite students to reflect on the ways identity is, at the same time, both deeply personal and universally human. We ask ourselves, who are we? What traits make you unique? How has your identity evolved over time? And we come to another opera. I've just made a terrible mistake. There we go. See if we can find it again. Yes. Eve Merriam's poem, another very, very beautiful poem, Thumbprint, where she suggests that identity is unique, personal, transformative. And we can encourage students to see identity as a journey and not as a static label. What does Eve Merriam tell us? She says, in the heel of my thumb are walls, worlds, wheels in a unique design, mine alone. What a treasure to own, my own flesh, my own feelings. No other, however grand or base, can ever contain the same. My signature, thumbing the pages of my time, my universe key, my singularity, impress, implant. I am myself. Of all my atom parts, I am the sum. And out of my blood and my brain, I make my own interior weather, my own sun and rain, imprint my mark upon the world, whatever I shall become. We read the poem and ask following questions. Oh, sorry about that. What traits or qualities make you unique? And how do you leave your personal mark in your life? How would you describe your interior weather? How has your identity changed over time? And do you think your identity will evolve in time? How will it change in 10 years? These, perhaps the last two questions, I think are particularly interesting for young students because their identity is very mobile at this time. And if they imagine themselves in 10 years' time, apart from being a splendid exercise on the use of future tenses, it's a very interesting reflection on who they are, their ambitions, how they see the world. I don't like to answer the question, how do I see myself in 10 years' time? Because I have come too far in this. Okay.
Oh, don't be like that, Tim. But it is interesting when you get towards the sharp end, let's say, that you
Yes.
do have an opportunity to think back about how your identity has changed.
Exactly,
Whereas from
yes.
our students' perspective, it's very much a future projected
Exactly, yes.
operation. It's a really nice and quite challenging activity for them. It's great.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I've always found that fascinating. It's one of the things that students seem to enjoy. So I used to ask my students to write a letter and we put on the date 2035 or 2045, a letter to an old school friend, and they can write in the present tense, but describe themselves in a distant future. So maybe they've finished school, finished their university studies, and then you discover who they are, what their family is, what their job is.
Or you could write a letter to yourself, which you
Exactly, yes.
open up in 10 years' time. And
yes,
yeah.
Yeah. It's rather sweet because not everybody decides they want to become a film star or a football player. Some of them actually get quite. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I wonder if influencers will still be with us in 10 years' time, but that's.
I fear so.
Okay. A moment of creative expression, we suggest, for example, inviting our students to create a personal identity poster, and they can include in this like influential people. Who are the people who have shaped them, and what are their values and beliefs, and how important are these? What experiences have changed them for the better or for the worse? And as we said before, what are their aspirations for the future? Where do they see themselves in 10 years' time? And then one of my favorite activities, the debate. And we're going to debate identity. The debate, I think, is our identity fixed by where we come from? Our identity here, which is formed by where we were born and grew up. We can never truly belong anywhere else. I rather hope this is not true. But the debate I find a very interesting exercise because we can divide the class into groups, teams or groups, and then tell them which side they're going to support. So here we've called Team A the homies, and they're going to argue in favor of this motion, say identity is tied to culture, to traditions, and to birthplace, and set them against Team B, the wanderers, who will suggest that identity is fluid and shaped by experiences beyond birthplace. Do you like debates? Do you use debates in class? You just pause for a moment to see if the debate is an activity which you find useful.
I go regularly into schools, as you know, Tim, and I know that the topics for debate are extremely popular, but particularly with in the sort of triennial area where the kids are older, they have better language skills, so trying to develop in terms of sort of civic education. So and there are schools that have debating teams and they take part in debating competitions. So let's see if we've got someone with us today who's got some experience.
Have we got any debaters with us today?
All a bit shy on the
bit
keyboard.
shy, yes. No, here we go, yes. We
Rossana,
have a debate club,
you.
Rossana Musoni. Good.
Yeah, so the possibility to set up with teams, giving
yes,
them...
yeah. Time demanding is true, yes, but they're very useful, yeah. What makes them so very useful? What do we think about that? Here we came second to in the national debate championship last year, and our team is now doing European debate.
Wow.
Yes. Francesca, who is very, very active with us today, critical thinking and mediating. I like mediating very much as a concept here. Also critical thinking. Okay, I teach university students, so I have a fixed timetable just for test preparation, so that doesn't leave quite so much space, maybe, yes. Yeah. I often do debate with my students. Okay, we sort of bring this to a close because there's so much to do, but I would like to make just one further comment on this. I enjoy the debate because we can echo. Here we have one more. Through debate, you can involve students who have the opportunity to develop several skills at a time. Yes, we saw mediation, we have expression. Listening is a very important skill which the debate can help us to develop. Open-mindedness. Why I like the debate so very much is that I can tell particular students, you are going to argue in favor, you are going to argue against, rather than letting them just go where they want. It's helpful always for us to stop and think that there are always different points of view. And if I'm invited to discover or create or imagine what are the points of view which are different from mine, I think this helps us very much to sort of broaden our horizons. Develop empathy. Exactly, yes, yes. And as Paolo says, to become protagonists of a lesson, yes. Brainstorming is a very exciting moment, brainstorming, yes. Okay. There's a special course on debating. I still have to try, very interesting. It needs a long time. Yes, it needs a long time. We can ask them, develop self-awareness. We can also ask the students to, as homework, to just to prepare some points and some ideas and not leave this necessarily as a class activity. Okay, thank you very much for your comments here. Let's move on again. Otherness. We've come to another key topic. Now, we're living in a world which is more interconnected than ever before. Borders, physical and virtual, are easier to cross. Cultural exchanges are happening at an unprecedented pace. And yet, paradoxically, understanding and embracing differences remains one of the greatest challenges of our time. And I'm sorry to have to say that the situation does not appear to be getting better in recent times. I'm not...
I think that's known as understatement, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I'm always very delicate because I don't want to come out and say exactly what's happening. But well,
I'm just going to take the opportunity of your delicate choice of words there to say yes. That to remind everyone that there is a webinar coming up in March, the second in the series, which has the, let's say, challenging topic of freedom, democracy, and equality. So good luck in preparing that particular one, Tim and Mauro. You're going to have to be very on the ball in terms of everything. It's changing every half an hour, practically.
Exactly. Every day when you look online at the news, you find that another little bit of freedom and democracy is being chipped away somewhere in the world. There we go.
Exactly right.
Okay, so the otherness. What does it mean to be the other? To think about this. How do we react? when we encounter cultures, traditions, and perspectives that are different from our own. How can we move beyond fear and stereotypes and misunderstandings to create a world that is truly inclusive? So this topic of otherness in Lifelines Be Human helps us navigate these questions, offering insights through literary texts, critical discussions, and personal reflections. By developing intercultural awareness, we learn that difference is not a threat. It is an opportunity for growth, connection, and understanding. So we open this with a contemporary analysis of intercultural awareness, exploring how it is key to fostering respect and understanding in our diverse world. The informational text that you see on the screen presents intercultural awareness as the ability to recognize that people have different ways of communicating, behaving, and expressing values. To understand that cultural differences shape how we see the world, to question our assumptions and remain open to learning from others, and to move beyond tolerance to meaningful interactions. Tolerance is clearly a positive word, but tolerance always has this negative connotation with it, that we are tolerating things that are somehow not for us or inferior. Tolerance must move beyond tolerance and into interactions which are more sort of, which put us on an equal level, not tolerating others, but accepting and appreciating others. What happens when we fail to develop intercultural awareness, when we fail to embrace otherness? You see, this develops frustration and resentment, feelings of isolation and misunderstanding, prejudice, stereotyping and discrimination, and real-world conflicts and societal divisions. Okay, these issues are not abstract. They play out in real-world conflicts, societal divisions, personal misunderstandings. We see this, we know this. So, to develop this, to deepen this discussion, students reflect on how often and how they react when they encounter people of cultures they don't know. Is it easy to change perspectives on people or cultures you are unfamiliar with? What do you think the value of sharing traditions is? And interesting, have you ever experienced not being seen for what you are? How did that make you feel? How does it feel when you are the other? How many of you have classes where this question of being the other one, being different, is significant? Do we have would anybody like to make a contribution about on this question?
You're throwing out some fairly
chunky, some tough ones.
Chunky questions today.
I think so. Maybe what I would like to know is whether you agree with me that our students are actually much better than we are or we were at being open and accepting, tolerant and curious. But yes,
someone agrees with you.
Yeah, I think
maybe the kind of acceptance goalposts have moved somewhat compared to those of us of the older generation. So it would be nice to think that our students have an easier context with which to have their otherness accepted.
Here you see political choices make advancement so tough. That's
Indeed,
right.
Yeah.
And here Claudia says, I agree 100%. Our students are more open than us. Yes, yeah. We can really learn from them. I see it in my daughter's points of view. Yes. Thank you, Francesca. They're more tolerant and more open-minded. My classes are international. That's very exciting. Yeah, students come from different countries. It's so nice for everybody. I must say that the experience of working with young students, I worked until just 2 years ago, I worked in a liceo, and being with students, I have a tremendous respect for young people. I know it's traditional to say, oh, young people today, when we were young, we were different. But I think actually the young people today offer a little bit of hope for the future. They seem to me to have much healthier attitudes than many of us, or that I had when I was younger. As I wasn't helped so much when I was younger. Yes. Okay, let's move on again, because time is... Okay. Another poem. Oh, I've lost it. Okay, we haven't got the text of this poem, but I'm going to read a little part of this. This is a poem by an English poet, contemporary English poet called Brian Bilston. The title of the poem is Refugees. And it's an interesting poem because it offers a shift in perspective. It challenges assumptions about refugees. Let me read 3 lines from this poem. It's very simple. The lines say, "They have no need of our help. So do not tell me these haggard faces could belong to you or me." Let me say that again. "They have no need of our help. So do not tell me these haggard faces could belong to you or me." When we read this poem, it's not very long. The poem appears to be very prejudiced and to reinforce negative stereotypes about refugees. When we get to the end of the poem, Bilston gives us a simple instruction. And he says, now, read the poem in reverse. Read it from the bottom and work back up to the top. Let me read to you those 3 verses, this time from the bottom to the top in reverse orders. Now we find, these haggard faces could belong to you or me. So do not tell me they have no need of our help. It's a simple idea, but very beautiful.
Very, very clever, very, very simple and very effective.
It is, yeah. We read the poem in reverse and the meaning changes completely. The poem becomes a plea for compassion, empathy, and solidarity. But the same works take on a completely different perspective, mirroring how a change in mindset can completely alter how we see the other. So, how does the poem challenge our assumption about refugees? We ask our students. What does reverse in the order of the words? Why does it change the meaning? Do we misjudge people based on first impressions? How can we look at the world from different perspectives? This poem is powerful. It helps us to understand the way we perceive otherness and how our perceptions can be transformed through awareness, knowledge, and the word that Jim used before, which is a key word, empathy. We move on again. How can our students now, there we go, move from reflection to action? The unit invites students to engage in different exercises, speaking exercise, asking us to share personal experience of cultural differences and misunderstandings. We can ask them questions like, have you ever felt like an outsider? How do you react when you meet people from a culture you don't understand? How can we learn from traditions that are different from our own? And then an oracy lab. Oracy lab means speaking, but a little more structured, where we ask students to prepare a text, an oral text. So students can research historical and contemporary examples where a lack of intercultural awareness has led to division, discrimination, or conflict. They can then present solutions on how intercultural awareness could improve the situation or could have improved the situation, reinforcing problem solving and global citizenship skills. And the debate. The debate, we will ask them, the motion might be: a country should only belong to those who are born there. Immigration threatens national identity. Okay. That's a horrible thing to say. I hope you agree. But as a debate topic, it's an invitation for students to see what prejudice is, why some people feel this way, and why they are wrong. How does migration enrich culture? Our identity is shaped by our experiences, not by our place of birth. The debate, we said, will help us develop persuasive skills, but engage with opposing viewpoints and challenge our own biases. Let me pause for a moment because I've been talking a lot. I have been looking at the chat. Are there any?
Yeah, interestingly, Christiana posted a link to the longer version of the Bilson poem. So there's a PDF which she shared with everyone. So thanks for that. And then going back to the comments you had before and were saying about your hope that you have with the kids, there were some slightly not quite consenting comments because of the difficulties that the kids have. So partially agree, Paola, saying because of the problems that there is with bullying. And Martina's also pointing out that in her experience, some students are not as open-minded. They're actually, there's quite a lot of indifference. So maybe reflecting the difficulties with which they live.
Yes, that's a little bit alarming. Indifference is almost worse than, in my opinion, rather than taking a position which I don't like. But being indifferent, is something really we must try to overcome in our students. But
it's a tricky one.
It is, isn't it? Yes, yeah. Perhaps not sufficiently informed. Sometimes indifference is a fruit of education. Here we have another. Otherness is an opportunity to enlarge our horizons. Yes. Thank you very much for that, Angela. Okay. So, another debate. Let's move on. And maybe I will ask you one more question. If you could change one thing about how people perceive, sorry, I've made a mistake there, how people perceive cultural differences, what would it be? Can we think of anything that we can do to help people in their perception of cultural differences? Who is responsible? Is it the television? Is it the social media? How important are these things? I'm asking questions which require a longer time. Yes, lack of empathy. Yes, yeah. Too much propaganda from Christiana. And this, I have to agree with this, unfortunately. Yeah. The innate attitude to feel the best. Yes, yeah. This idea that we are superior.
Tim, one thing that comes to mind for me is hasty judgments that are made by people. So, which is kind of linked with what a lot of people are suggesting in sort of prejudice. And so you make a hasty judgment on another culture, another person, another society.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. In fact, we have it here as pleasure, superficiality, yes. Yeah. I would turn fear into curiosity, if that is possible, and that is absolutely wonderful, a wonderful idea, yes. superficiality and bias. The problem, and we talk about bias quite a lot in the text in another section, the problem about bias is that we are unconscious of our bias very often. One of the things we need to do is to recognize our bias. We have Chimamanda is mentioned, yes. Competition, lack of empathy. Okay, it's almost time for us to draw towards a conclusion. We need to actually meet foreign people, yes, instead of learning about them through TV, yes. Yeah, that's why if we are teaching languages, the most important thing we can insist on is that we must get out there our languages to open up doors and to meet people, and if possible to travel, yes. Changing borders into bridges. That's a splendid one, yes. Face the otherness, alienation. See diversity as a great opportunity. Yes. Oh, here's another lesson for lifelines from next week. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on and say, okay. So our final reflection, literature as a lifeline. What does literature do? Literature helps us to understand. Here we've talked about 3 topics: mobility, identity, and otherness. Literature connects us across time and cultures. It fosters critical thinking and empathy. Empathy is the word of the day in our webinar today. To encourage us to see the world and ourselves differently. With that, we will say thank you very much for being part of our journey today. Let's hope that we can continue to explore this question and be human, because we've seen literature has offered us guidance, comfort, and connection. It gives voice to those who have migrated, those who have struggled with their identity. It gives voice to those who have been seen as others. It challenges us to ask big questions, to step into different perspectives, and to embrace the richness of human experience. That's why we are convinced that in Lifelines, Be Human, literature is not just a subject to study. Literature is a living, breathing force, one that helps us to understand ourselves and to engage with the world responsibly. Literature is a tool for self-discovery, for empathy, for building a future where we celebrate diversity rather than fear it. We hope that today's discussion has inspired you to see literature as a lifeline in your own teaching and learning. We hope it will empower your students to become thoughtful, open-minded, engaged citizens of the world. Thank you all for being with us today, so many of you. Thank you for your contributions. Let's keep exploring, let's keep questioning. Let's keep being human together. Thank you once again for being with us.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I've put some links in if anyone wants to see material linked to Lifelines we have on the Sanoma website. We've had lots of people, the chat has gone crazy now with people thanking you, Tim. So in multiple ringraziamenti. Thanks to everybody. If you have any particular questions, feel free to reach out to your local Sanoma agent. Lifelines Volume 1 is already available. Lifelines Compact is about to arrive with the agents over the next couple of weeks. There is material already online if you want to try it out. There is a free lesson linked to the 8th of March on the Sanoma website, which we've linked with Jane Austen, connecting with the 250th anniversary of her birth. And just a final reminder, I think, for everybody that the next webinar in this series is on the 20th of March. The link has already gone in. Maybe we can put the link in again, just if you want to sign up for that, with the extremely topical and ambitious subject of democracy, freedom, and equality. So looking forward to seeing you and reading you all in that particular webinar with both Tim and Mauro. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I think there have been so many things. It's all thank you. I can't open the link to sign up. I think the link has just gone in, Rosanna, so you should be able to. If not, feel free to write to me. I'm going to put my email address in the chat for anybody if you need to write. Here we go. I can't speak and write at the same time. I don't know why that is. There we go. The link is not working. Okay, well, if you email me, I will find a way of making the link available for you to sign up for that particular session. Okay, so all that remains for me is to thank everybody once again for joining us today. Thank you, Tim, for a very informative and thought-provoking and big question session.
Yes,
I think I need to go and lie down now.
Yes, I think I do too. Yes.
Think about the world and my identity and my otherness, and particularly about my inner weather. That is one thing.
Yes, that's an interesting one. Yes, yeah. I mean, that's an obsession that we all have as British people. The weather, so the inner weather is a new obsession. Thank you very much, James, for helping us through this.
No problem, no problem. It's a delight. It's a delight to be with you and all the teachers here. So take care, everybody, and we will see you all soon at the earliest occasion.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.